Hi, and welcome to Thinking in the Cloud. I'm Eric McGarity, your host. Today, I've got Dax, Keith, and Chris joining me. We're excited today because we're going to talk a little bit about cloud computing in general, where it's going, and how to select a cloud computing provider. So, Chris, why don't you start us off? Tell me a little bit about the landscape of cloud computing. What's out there?
Sure. Well, I tell you, over the last probably decade, and certainly the last 5 years, it's just the hottest, topic out there. And if you're not in the cloud today, you're either planning to go to the cloud or you have some form of your workloads in the cloud, even if it's a test and dev, scenario. But I think it's becoming more and more of a trusted environment to where customers are becoming more and more comfortable putting more of their critical data out there, as to where before it was maybe file and print services. And now it's some of those more critical business running applications. And so over this period of time, I think we've kind of gotten to a point to where the proof of concept has been done, right? And that's where I think that's where we're at today, in the market in general.
Yeah, what do you think? Is it going to change radically, do you feel like, or do you think we're there and
No, I think it's going to continue at a rapid pace. Everything is connected today, and there's just more and more and more that's connected. When you look at things like IoT, Internet of Things, and they're connecting literally toaster ovens and refrigerators and everything. Well, this has got to be connected somewhere, right? And so it just makes a lot of sense to have that data in a secure, environmentally secure environment with compliance wrapped around it, rather than each company that they don't have anything to do. Their business model is not technology at all, but they're trying to fit almost a square peg through a round hole and operate in it themselves. And I think because of the complexity of all of the newer technology that's coming out, the speed of technology, the rapid pace of change, all of those things, it's just going to continue to skyrocket, as time goes on.
So Google made a big play in this a while ago. Not only did they try to roll out their own fiber program, which ultimately didn't really get rolled out, but I think the Chromebook in general was an interesting play. Because if you think about that device, it's a device that doesn't install anything, right? Everything is a cloud-based application. That for me was a signal to, where consumers might be going, and, but businesses really need to be ahead of that curve. And unfortunately, businesses are frankly behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're used to the old model of you need to have a server in their building.
Right.
Because they bought a building, they should have all their data in that building with them, because that's what they're used to. So they have file cabinets. They expect their servers to be there too, so it's all together with them where they're going. But their customers aren't coming to their building anymore. Most people are selling through storefronts or through online storefronts, or they're selling overseas through the internet, and people never come to their building. So as the mindset changes to that, I don't need all this stuff in my building all the time. I can put it somewhere where I know it's secure, where I know there's professionals taking care of it at all times, doing the updates, doing the hard compliancy work, like Chris mentioned, and all that has been secured and always stays up to date to protect you from the latest malware or intrusion events that could happen. Once you've gotten that off your plate, you can just focus on your business. You don't have to focus on being an IT professional at the same time. You can eliminate the amount of headcount it takes just to keep your IT infrastructure running. You can let somebody else do that for you. And that's where a lot of companies are looking at. I can have sales professionals really running my business and doing the business that we're here for, and let the IT professionals run their business and make my business work for me. It's a different mindset that business owners and business leaders have to look at.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that and say, and that's really our job, is to educate our customers and let them know what options are available. And you talk about the Chromebook and thin client, right? That's kind of a dummy terminal that's out there, and being able to pull a profile from a secured environment directly down over an internet connection that's secure, right? You're able to retain all of that data inside of your corporate organization. And so when it's time to, close the laptop, you don't have to worry about it from a physical standpoint. Somebody going to steal my laptop in my truck or my car, right? You don't necessarily have to worry about it, an intrusion if you're sitting at a Starbucks coffee, right? Because that thing is locked down, hard-coded to where it will only allow you to access the applications that you as a user have the profile for, right? And so from a security standpoint and from a compliance standpoint, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the no trust architecture, right?
Sure.
And that idea that, let's create these little pockets of security and say, you know what, if I don't trust this piece of my infrastructure right now, I'm not going to communicate, right? And so I think that's a great concept. Other than, phishing, I think, is the hot buzzword right now, but let's talk security. I don't know, Keith or Dax, you want to go in on security a little bit, because man, that is a big deal, right? So
Exactly.
We've got users out there, just opening up vulnerabilities left and right. But there's a lot of going on in security, and a lot of people are making a lot of money taking advantage of security weaknesses.
The big push we're seeing right now is dual factor authentication, right? So having a way with another device, I put in my password, now I have to put in a code, or I have to push yes, I am logging in, which is, I think, going to be the big change now with the things coming out, that it's going to require two-factor, and we're just going to have to get used to that unpleasantness because of security. Other things that we're seeing is like the whole phishing accounting scam that we've run into a lot with wire transfers, but really that's not a technology issue that we deal with.
It's a training issue.
It really is. It's that. So another thing is looking at testing those kind of compliances in some companies that we deal with too, that will do phishing attacks for you and give you results. Training your employees, right? Those kind of things are really, really important as well. That is probably one of the biggest things people overlook. You can get the firewalls, you can have the rules, you can do as much as you can, but at the end of the day, you still got that guy behind the keyboard, right? So that's the big thing to think about, I would say, in that respect.
Well, it is interesting because we're kind of seeing IT move in some ways, because the infrastructure is no longer that important from a business's point of view. They don't need to have a server in the closet. So that can be moved into a cloud, that can be moved off-premise, that can be managed by a third party. IT now needs to think about, let's make sure we train our users how to properly use these systems.
Exactly. If the IT department is no longer worried about what patch just came out, but instead is worried about their employees being able to use the software to its fullest and do what they've been hired to do, then IT can be a productive member of that organization, saying, bringing in instructors and teaching the employees what phishing is and how to prevent it, how to really understand what the email that just came onto their desktop, what it's really telling them, and not having to worry about, somebody has a new printer driver that they have to install. But IT becomes a resource now for the company to protect their assets, and are training the employees not to open the wrong emails, or not to follow that wire transfer information without following regular accounting practices that they should. And IT can become more than just a hardware toy manufacturer or whatever, because they like their toys.
Yeah,
sure, of course. We all think toys are fun, but
Yeah.
I think you're completely right. And I think in some ways what the cloud infrastructure will allow IT to do is align a little bit more with the business as a whole and stop being seen as a cost, particularly a CapEx expense, and be more aligned with the business operations. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us today on Thinking in the Cloud, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Thanks.
lot. Appreciate it.